Well, I guess we're going to get started because, we did schedule it for 2 o'clock. So welcome everybody. This is our eighth, I think, Facebook Live Homebuyer Seminar. We normally do these in person at Jonathan's Tri-County office, but obviously with COVID, that is a little bit restricted right now. So hopefully we'll be able to get back to that. So we're going to have Jonathan present some information, and then there will be opportunity to ask questions. If you ask questions in the comments, if we for some reason aren't able to get to your question, then we will definitely get back to you. Hopefully Monday, if not sometime this week. Feel free to reach out to Jonathan directly. Also, pay attention and try and take some notes if you don't have a good memory like myself, because there will be prizes at the end. We're going to ask some questions as far as some of the information that Jonathan is presenting. And if you get the answer correct, the first person, then we will definitely be able to award a prize to you. Prizes are donated from Phoenix Marketing, and they do photography and marketing. Also, Jonathan is able to give you some contact information for that as well. So I hope everyone enjoys the information. Feel free to pass this information on to anyone in your family, your friends. Jonathan is more than happy to talk with anybody, regardless of their situation, even if they're not ready to buy now. That's what this seminar is about. So I hope you guys enjoy.
Thank you. Welcome, everyone, and thank you for the lovely introduction. This is our 8th Facebook Live Homebuyer Seminar. We've been doing these online seminars for quite a while. We actually host wine tastings and dinners and lunches here at the Tri-County office, but like Chris said, we can't do that right now, so we're glad to have you. It's an honor to have you with us today. We have quite a bit of information, so we're just going to jump right into it. But actually, before we get into it, let's say hello to some of our friends from various banks who are joining us today. Our friends from Pacific Residential. Hello, everyone. And we have some credit repair friends who are watching us today. So hello to all of you as well. So the information that you are getting is free, and it's based on my 20 plus years of mortgage experience. And obviously the views and the information that you're receiving does not necessarily represent the views of my employer or the Mortgage Bankers Association, but these are insights, tricks, techniques, and strategies that I've learned from various credit repair specialists, and also insight that I've gained throughout my career that I'm sharing with you so that you can become a successful homeowner. So let me say this, just so that we're clear. This information that you are getting is totally free. Now, if you want a more personalized approach to credit repair, where you'll get dispute letters written, where people will hold your hand daily throughout the credit repair process, that's why I've invited some of my credit repair specialists to join me, and I'll be happy to refer you to one of them. It is not free, but if that's what you're looking for, they are available to you. But like I said, this information, I've kind of stolen it from all of the popular credit repair places, so take good notes. And obviously this is not scripted, so if you have any questions, jump right in. We're going to have today's class in 2 parts. The first part, we're going to talk about the 3 C's of lending. And during the second part, we will talk about credit. So, buying a house right now is just brutal. I'm sure that you've heard horror stories from every bank about how they are scrutinizing individuals who are interested in purchasing a home. This has been very interesting for me because this is the first time in my entire career where I have worked for a total of 4 banks in the year 2020 because of tighter guidelines, bipolar underwriting, and just banks changing their appetite to accept risk. So, I mean, I've had a stellar career where I've been stable and loyal to banks, but the year 2020 and the year 2021, banks are tightening the guidelines, and banks are heavily scrutinizing income and employment and assets. So it's very important that you understand the 3 C's of lending, because every bank in the United States evaluates mortgages based on the 3 C's. And what are the 3 C's? Credit, capacity, and collateral. So once you understand that all of the banks approve loans based on these 3 things, you'll be more successful in your journey. So the first thing we're going to talk about is credit. My stream isn't showing input, but my lovely assistant here is going to let me know if we have any questions. But usually when we do these seminars in Dayton and Columbus and all over the United States, we ask the question, what credit score do you need to buy a home? And it's interesting, we did a seminar in Dayton where some of the responses were as high as 750. People thought you needed a 750 credit score to buy a house, 680. And the scores were so high. People thought you needed to be almost perfect to buy a home. It was almost tragic to sit there in that room of 20, 30 people, and everyone thought you had to have almost perfect credit to be a homeowner. So although you do need to have decent credit, you certainly don't need a 700 credit score. We give loans to people who have credit scores as low as 620. Now let me say this, and again, this is coming from a guy who worked for 4 different banks in 2020. There are banks in Ohio that brag about being able to give you a loan with a 500 credit score or a 550 credit score, and they do exist, 580, 560. But bragging about being able to close a loan versus actually closing a loan, 2 different things. So be very careful as you are surfing on the internet and you're seeing these people brag about being able to close 550 credit score loans. It's not real. And by the time you survive a 580 credit score mortgage application, you'll be so frustrated and so angry with the experience that you won't enjoy your house. So we can lend with a 620 credit score. And the best thing about Pacific Residential, not to brag, but the people with a 620 credit score actually get really good interest rates. I'm helping a police officer who's, I think she might be watching now. She's doing a refinance with a 630 credit score, and her interest rate is 3.25 fixed on a 30-year loan. So some banks talk the talk, but we walk the walk. We can actually do that 620 credit score loan. That's actually my favorite type of loan, because those are clients who really appreciate me answering the phone at 8 o'clock at night and working hard to get them approved. But anyway, credit is the first criteria toward closing your loan. You have to have at least a 620 credit score. You don't have to be perfect, but you do need at least a 620. All right? And jump in if you have questions, type your questions, and this is all interactive. And if you don't have questions now, you'll probably have questions later. So credit is the number 1 thing. The next item of business is capacity. And I like to think of capacity as what you can shoulder, how much weight you can bear. Now, this is a crazy time in lending because there's the coronavirus. And the coronavirus is, laying people off and shutting down companies. And it's really hard to show capacity. It's really hard to show stability during the corona crisis. In fact, a lot of underwriters are heavily scrutinizing self-employed borrowers and your year-to-date incomes as they dwindle during the coronavirus, and it's really difficult. So what do? How do you create a better capacity? It's a good question. I like to think of it in terms of appearance. So what you need to do is create an illustration, create an illusion. I shouldn't say illusion because we have underwriters watching, but you need to create the illusion that you have stability. Here's a perfect example. I had a client who, and I tell this story at other homebuyer seminars, so bear with me if you've heard it before. I had a client who went to a very popular bank, and he was denied. He had great credit, but his capacity didn't seem strong. He was denied at the very popular bank. He went to another bank and was denied, went to another bank and was denied. Then he came to me, and he closed the door and he told me his whole story. And the story went like this. He had a great job. He got in trouble, went to jail, was in jail for several years, got out of jail, started a new job. No bank wanted to give him a loan because the banks kept describing his story in a negative way. But what do you do when you're in jail? You study. So this gentleman, he studied culinary arts for multiple years while he was behind bars, and he graduated with a certificate in culinary arts. So we used that certificate on the application. We were able to say, hey, look, this guy studied culinary arts for multiple years. He got out of whatever and he got a job. And we were able to close that loan. So don't think of your situation in terms of, man, my capacity looks bad, I'm hopping jobs. Don't look at it like that. We have to, I see you, Megan. We have to design the loan application, especially now, in a way where it shows strength. Another gentleman, a very young guy, probably watching this video, he was 21 years old. And we were able to show stability, capacity on his application by simply showing that he was paying rent perfectly. He was paying $1,500 in rent, $1,500 in rent. And we put that on the application, and it kind of balanced out the risk, and it showed that he was able to afford an $800 a month mortgage. So capacity is the second rule of underwriting. You have to show, I'm Cincinnati Public, bear with me, I had to check my spelling. You have to show your ability to withstand pressure. And the best way to do that is through showing rent, through showing that you've been on your job for a period of time, or showing that you've been in the same line of work for a period of time. All right? So we have credit, capacity, and my favorite is collateral. And I don't think you'll see it because of my chair, so I'm just going to write it up here. Check my spelling. 3 C's, credit, capacity, and collateral. So what is collateral? Usually when we do these classes here at the Tri-County office, I describe the 12 different grants that are available here in Ohio. Montgomery County, Butler County, Hamilton County, Springfield Township. There are tons of grants that will help you purchase a home with no money down. But in the interest of time, because it looks like we're already at 30 minutes, 17 minutes. In the interest of time, I'm not going to describe all of those different grants, but I do want to describe my favorite grant. Drum roll, please. That was good. Sorry, inside joke. My favorite grant is the SUPERGRANT. The SUPERGRANT. The SUPERGRANT is, I see some comments there, don't put that on CPS, we can spell very well. Okay, Cincinnati Public is a great institution, Barbara. I love Cincinnati Public. I graduated from School for the Creative Performing Arts, and that school actually made me successful like I am today. So CPS is a great school district. Go CPS. But SUPERGRANT is a program that allows you to purchase a home with no money down. On an FHA loan, let me see if I can move my chair. On an FHA loan, you need 3.5% as your down payment. The SUPERGRANT will cover that entire cost. You can purchase a single family home, you can purchase a condominium, you can purchase a 2-family. And the beautiful thing is, you can make up to 115% of the average median income. That means you don't have to pay back the money you borrow. So you could buy a $200,000 house, and I just put myself on stage here. 200,000 times 3.5%, 7,000, I think. I hope. So it'll give you that entire amount of money where you don't have to pay it back. It is a wonderful program. There aren't many hoops, there aren't many hurdles, and it's a great way to overcome the need for collateral. When we do these classes, I often ask the question, how much money do you need in order to purchase a home? And that's also a shock, because everyone in the room usually says, hey, you need 15%, you need 20%, you need $10,000 to buy a house, and that's not the case. The SUPERGRANT helps you overcome the need for collateral. Now, don't misunderstand me. You can't buy a house with $0 in your bank account. I mean, you have to have earnest money. That's going to be $500. The appraisal, depending on what bank you use, that could be $600. The home inspection, that's going to be another $500. Moving in, that's going to be probably $200. Well, let's say $300. So, I mean, you need money to become a homeowner. But as far as the down payment, the need for collateral is covered through the SUPERGRANT. Did you have a question about the, what was that other?
Oh, what about the Welcome Home Grant?
Ah, I'm glad you asked. And I know I have a lot of friends from Huntington and other First Financial. I know my friends from those banks are watching, and I say this with love, and I say this very carefully. So we just had the craziest winters here in Ohio and Texas, where we had 10, 12 inches of snow and ice. And I'm an old guy. I'm not trying to shovel snow and slip. So I'm calling all over Cincinnati, and I'm trying to get salt. Did you have that same experience? Trying to get salt? Yeah. So I called a store and said, hey, I know there's a salt shortage in Cincinnati. Do you have salt? Lady says, hey, yeah, I got salt. Come on down. So I jump in the truck, and I'm flying to get that salt, swerving in the ice and snow, and finally get to the door, and I see other people pulling out the big yellow and black bags of salt, and they're putting the salt in their trucks. And I'm running in the door, and I'm saying, hey, you have any salt left? Lady says, no. All the salt is gone. So I jump back on my phone. I'm like, okay, well, I know there's another hardware store down the street. Hey, do you have salt? Yeah, we got salt. So I jump back in the truck, and I'm flying down Hartwell and trying to get to this other hardware store. And they don't have salt by the time I get to the store. So what is the Welcome Home Grant? It's a temporary grant. Don't get your hopes up. It's a great program, but the salt does run out. SUPERGRANT, however, those funds are available 24/7. So if you have questions about the SUPERGRANT, we can talk in further detail offline. But thank you for asking that question. That's a very good question. All right, so the 3 C's of lending, credit, capacity, and collateral, will help you get your home. At any bank, every bank uses the same criteria. I worked for a guy in Newark, Ohio, and he had this metaphor that he would always use, and I'm going to steal it to illustrate my point. This guy would always say, it's like a stool, a 3-legged stool. And if you don't have, pardon my drawing, if you don't have 3 solid legs on the stool, you're going to fall. Well, let me add to that metaphor. Let's say you have great credit. Let's say you have great collateral, but your capacity is weak. Well, have you ever gone to a restaurant and you sit at a chair and the chair is wobbly. What do? You lean on the other side to try to balance, and that's exactly what you do with a three-legged stool if this leg is shorter than the others. Make sure these two legs are super strong so that you have some sort of stability. That was beautiful, wasn't it? You like that metaphor? Okay, so credit, capacity, and collateral. Three-legged stool. Make sure that you have all of those as strong as you can before you apply for a mortgage loan. All right. Thank you, Barbara. Thank you, Joy. All right, so we're going to jump right into the credit piece. And if you have questions, just jump right in and ask the questions. All right, so before we get into this, let me say this. I'm a humble individual, and I have learned so much in the year 2020 during my job hopping. And I'm going to share a little bit of that before we start talking about the credit. So one of the managers I met, he told me about an app called Experian Boost. I am not getting paid for this endorsement, but everyone listening, everyone watching this video, you need to install that app. It is a legitimate, a legal way for you to boost your credit without doing anything. So here's how it works. Experian Boost allows you to input your bank login information. I know that's risky. I know that's scary. But you give them your login, your passwords to your Fifth Third bank account or your Key bank account. And Experian Boost will actually look at how you are paying your Verizon bill, your water bill, your cable bill. And it's looking at the history and how you are paying, and it adds it to your credit as if it's a creditor. It's brilliant. So I've been doing that lately, and I found tremendous success with my clients. Some clients, their Experian credit score jumps up 30 points just because of Experian Boost. So it's a valuable tool, and you have to do it. Download Experian Boost. It can make a huge difference from you not getting a home to getting a home with the SUPERGRANT. So check that out. Also, Credit Karma. If you don't have it, get it. It's another free app. Whenever I talk to people about buying a home, I always ask, what is your Credit Karma credit score? Actually, the conversation's funny. It goes like this. They say, I don't know what my credit score is. I don't have a clue. I want you to go ahead and pull my credit. And then I say, well, you don't have a clue what your credit score is? No, I don't have a clue. You have Credit Karma? Yeah, I got Credit Karma. Tell me what's on Credit Karma. And Credit Karma is not accurate, but I always encourage people to use it because you can usually subtract 40 points from whatever your Credit Karma score is, and it'll usually be the banker credit score. For example, let's say Credit Karma has you thinking you have a 700 credit score. Then when you apply at any of these banks, we actually see a 660. Anyone know the reason for that? Well, let me go ahead and talk about it. I don't see anyone volunteering. So the Credit Karma is a consumer credit scoring algorithm. In other words, you're not applying for anything. You're not trying to buy a house. You're not trying to buy a car. You're not trying to buy a TV. You're just looking at yourself in the mirror. So that reflection is going to be more flattering than if you apply for a 30-year mortgage. 30-year mortgage is going to be much more stringent, much more serious. So you're going to find that Credit Karma is always inflated. I talked to a client yesterday, and she was pretty upset because she thought her credit score was 680. I said, no ma'am. Credit Karma has you thinking that you're LeBron James when you are really Gary Coleman. So always subtract 40 points from Credit Karma. But it's a valuable tool because every week it shows you what you're doing correctly and what you're doing incorrectly. It shows you your credit utilization, which we're going to talk about here in a minute, and it gives you regular updates. If someone pulls on your credit, it'll show you, hey, this person just yanked on your social. It'll show you when items fall off. It'll show you everything. So it is a wonderful, wonderful tool. Mike Tyson, all right, cool beans. That's good, that's good. Okay, so credit scoring is a chemistry. It's a science. And I'm going to show you the details of how your credit score is built. Now, I know for a lot of you guys watching this video, most of you are watching this video and paying attention to the class because I invited you to come to the class because you're getting qualified for a loan. So let me say this. There's no such thing as a bad person. No such thing as a person who does not deserve an opportunity to become a homeowner. Look at your credit as if it is a snapshot. Visualize your credit score as a snapshot. It's going to change. But when we pull your credit at that particular moment, those 3 digits that we see, whatever they may be, let's say you have a 483. That is your score at that particular moment. Okay, it doesn't mean you're bad, doesn't mean you can't apply, technically, but it just means that is your specific score at that moment in time. And I'm really drilling that point home because if you understand that it's temporary, it is current tense, present tense, right now tense. If you understand that basic principle, you'll understand how to manipulate your credit score. So, 35% of your credit score is how you pay your bills on time. 35% of your score. True story, and I haven't told anybody this. I told Chris this story, and she's probably going to laugh and throw me off, but I am obsessive compulsive when it comes to watching my phone, watching my Fifth Third Bank text message alerts. I'll shop on Amazon, and if I don't get a text saying I just bought David Archie undershirts, I'm upset. And when I see anything flash on my phone, I'm tripping out. I'm going through records to make sure that there's no theft. So on one particular evening, I guess it must have been September or something like that, I saw this weird flash go on my phone, and it said CBNA or something, $400. And I'm like, what? Oh, somebody's messing with my money. So I shut down that credit card. I shut down the account. I blocked the money. I filed a dispute, and Fifth Third gave me back the $400. Problem was, that was a real payment. I actually paid my Best Buy credit card off. But because I revoked my $400, Best Buy said, hey, you late. You didn't pay us that money. So because it reported me as late, it killed my credit by 50 points. 50 points. True story. I had almost an 800 credit score, and one late payment, which really wasn't late, it was just me being obsessive compulsive, dropped my score down significantly. Funnier story, credit is so doggone important, so important. Sometimes you can't even get a job because of your credit. Sometimes you can't even get an apartment. True story, I'm working here at Pacific Residential Mortgage. These guys actually were tripping about that particular late payment. They almost didn't want to hire me because of a late payment on my Best Buy account. They had me write a long explanation about it. So credit is critical. You cannot have bad credit and expect forward movement. So payment history accounts for the largest portion of your credit. 35% of your credit score depends on your ability to pay bills on time. But let me add to that. On the credit report, there's no such thing as 5 days late, 10 days late, 15 days late. There's only a column for 30 and 60 and 90 and 120. So if you think you're going to be late, make sure that you pay it before it's 30 days. Call them, work with them. Hey, look, I'm going to drive this payment to your office so that it's not 30 days late. Okay? So make sure that your bills are paid on time. Now, the second, which ironically it's second, but it should be first. The second most important thing is credit utilization. Credit utilization. Now, I know there's the urban legend that says, hey, you should make sure that your credit is under 30%. That's true. It's kind of like saying drink 1 glass of water a day. So it's true, but let me show you a trick that I learned from my friends in Denver, Colorado. I won't say the name of the credit repair company that I stole this information from, but it is true. So let's say you have a credit card. I hope you can see this illustration. Let me make it a little darker. Let's say you have a credit card that has a $500 limit, but you have used $400. That will grossly impair your credit because your card is almost maxed out. Your utilization is higher than 30, much higher than 30%. I mean, that utilization is like 70%. So what you want to do, 30% is good, but if you really want to see a fast credit jump, pay that sucker down to $1. It works. For whatever reason, there is a glitch in the credit reporting systems, and when it sees that 1.00, it generally reflects quicker. It updates faster when it sees this compared to that. So pay your bills down to $1 and watch your credit grow. I had a client who asked this question. She said, Mr. JB, I have this car payment. I have a really high car payment of $700, and it's affecting my debt ratio. I want to close that account, and I want to get a new car payment. I want to refinance and get a lower payment. So she wanted to take her $700 car payment and get it lower so that she can qualify for more of a house. Is that a good idea or a bad idea?
Bad idea.
Oh, thank you. That was a horrible idea. Here's why. Your credit utilization on that car, even though it was a $700 car payment, you were paying it down and paying it down and paying it down and paying it down and paying it down. Right? So your utilization was shrinking on that car. So why would you open up a new account or refinance because you don't like the $700 payment? What happens on the first month of your refinance? Your credit utilization is 100% on the new car loan. So instead of you're helping yourself, you're hurting yourself by, in essence, opening up a new account with a 100% utilization. So don't do it. Don't do it. Credit utilization can kill your credit score. Make sure you manipulate that perfectly. Any questions about that? All right, let me just side note very quickly. Student loans. Now, a lot of my clients are dealing with student loans and how that negatively affects your ability to qualify for a mortgage. So let me say this. There are loopholes. There are loopholes. You can actually qualify for a conventional loan and dodge the FHA bullet that forces us to take 1% of your student loan debt and count it against you. Let me say that in a different way. Let's say Jimmy has a $100,000 student loan. Jimmy is applying for an FHA loan. Jimmy is upset because we have to hit him for $1,000 a month in his debt ratio. So now he's not qualifying for a mortgage. Even if his student loans are deferred with the COVID forbearance or whatever it is, and he's paying $0, we have to treat him like he's paying $1,000 on an FHA loan. It's unfair, it stinks, but the reason why that rule exists is to protect consumers. A lot of consumers buy these houses thinking, oh, I don't have a student loan payment, so I'm cool. But what happens when you actually do have a student loan payment and you bought a $300,000 house? Now you have to suffer and struggle to pay your student loan debt and that mortgage. So that's why the rule was created. Now, how do you work around the rule? Well, you qualify for a conventional loan. And conventional loans do require a higher credit score. In many cases, 660, 680, 700. Conventional loans, I like to refer to those as skin in the game loans. So although my SUPERGRANT is wonderful, you're not getting a penny unless you invest skin in the game first. So you invest 3% down or 5% down in the SUPERGRANT, and all these other goofy grants can be added to that. It's skin in the game. Now, when you get that conventional loan, we can be super creative. We can have you talk to your student loan people, and I'm just teaching you guys all this stuff, and I know these bankers paying attention to my video, they're going to steal my knowledge. And hopefully you guys pay me for teaching you how to make these loans close. But so you get your client to get a consolidation on that $100,000 student loan debt, and make sure there is a payment, a designated, legit, formal payment, and we can add that to the credit on a conventional loan. And it might be a payment of $200 instead of $1 million, and now we can qualify you properly on a conventional loan. There's another loophole that I just learned from my manager, and if we run, thank you, it is hot. If we run the information through what we call LP, it's a certain version of conventional lending. Instead of hitting you for 1%, we hit you for 0.5%. So if you don't want to do the legwork of changing your consolidation and having a payment assigned, we can actually run your loan through LP. So instead of us hitting you for $1,000, we're only hitting you for $500. So there are all sorts of loopholes. There are all sorts of cool strategies, many different ways, as my dad would say, many different ways to skin a cat. So you can buy a house with student loans. I just wanted to make sure we talked about that. So let me get back on track. All right, so utilization is 30% of your credit score. So make sure that you keep your utilization as low as possible. The third criteria is length of credit history. Length of credit history. So let's just remember how I said your credit is a snapshot. Your credit is a snapshot. So length of credit history is the third ingredient on a credit score. True story. When I was emancipated many years ago, I shouldn't say that. When I was divorced many years ago, I installed Credit Karma because one of my friends in Dayton said, hey, you got to do this Credit Karma. It's cool, it's great, it's awesome. So I installed Credit Karma, and Credit Karma does this now. It tells you when someone's using your credit. So Credit Karma said, hey, JB, hey, boo-boo, hey. Someone just bought a dress at Macy's. Do I look like I wear a dress? No. So I freaked out. I went 80 miles an hour in like 2 seconds. I freaked out. I called Macy's and said, hey, look, I don't shop at Macy's. I don't shop. I'm an Amazon, eBay type of guy, and Wish, as many of you know. So why is this against me? And Macy's said, well, sir, you've had this doggone Macy's card for, I forget how long, so bear with me. I think it was like 10, 15 years. And I said, well, you know what? Take me off of that card. Take me off of that card. I was an authorized user on a Macy card that I didn't even know existed. Wouldn't you have done the same thing? Yup. But that was the wrong thing to do. Here's why. You remember how I said your credit score is a snapshot? It's a present tense snapshot of your credit strength. So by closing a card that I had for a million years, I ended a relationship with a credit card company. I ended the relationship, which is a negative reflection on your ability to repay. See how that works? Your credit is a snapshot, present tense snapshot. So if I kill my credit with Macy's and dismiss them totally, I'm killing that longevity. Same thing with that car that the lady wanted to kill. She wanted to kill that longevity, and I told her not to. That Macy thing, I forget how many points it hurt, boy, but it hurt. It killed my credit, something fierce. So be very careful with your credit history. Very careful. Let's make sure I'm covering everything. All right. Now that's the third thing, credit history. The fourth is new credit. New credit accounts for 10% of your credit score. And that can go either way. It can be negative or positive. Here's what I mean by that. Many of my clients call me and they say, JB, I have collections. And Jiminy Cricket Credit Company told me to pay these collections. Jiminy Cricket is an idiot because, first of all, with lending, you don't have to pay medical collections. You can have $1 billion in medical collections and not have to pay 1 penny, right? So medical collections, all banks ignore. Now, you might end up going to one of the banks that I quit in 2020, and they might ask you to write an explanation of why you have $1 million in medical debt. So you might have to write a little love letter. But you can't be denied a loan because of medical collections. And also, you don't want to pay these collections in present tense. Why don't you want to pay them? And I'm sounding like Bruce Lee in that commercial. Watch the water. The water is powerful. Sorry, Vanna White over here made me laugh. I forgot what I was saying. Okay, the collections. You don't want to pay collections because it resurfaces negativity into the forefront. Remember, credit is a snapshot of present tense, like right now, right this moment. So let's say you had a JD Byrider, JB, whatever, that guy. Let's say you had a collection, a $200 collection from 1990, and they kept reposting it every 6 years to avoid the Fair Credit Act. So it's been chasing you, but it hasn't been mentioned for about 3 years. And you see it on your credit report and you're thinking, oh man, I got to buy a house. I want to buy a house. I need to get everything together. And you go ahead and pay it off. What happens to your credit? It goes down. Here's why. Your dumb butt resurfaced information from 2 years ago. Information that you already paid the price for. So yeah, you're paying it off, but you're bringing up negative activity. And when you do that, now on your credit report where it says most recent report date, guess what? Your JD Byrider collection is reported right now, February 2021. So don't do it. Now, there are some times when you have to pay your collections. There's a lending rule that says you can't have more than $2,000 in collections. If you have more than $2,000 in collections, guess what? You have to pay them all off. So a lot of my clients, I tell them not to pay those collections until you are engaged in the underwriting process. And why? First of all, underwriters are crazy. They're nasty people who don't have friends. So they're going to make you document and trace every penny of how you paid those collections. And that is going to be a painful experience because they might have you go back a couple bank statements and prove that money was really in your account. So don't do it. Let the underwriter have you pay them at the closing. Because if you pay off those collections, who's paying attention? That's right. Your credit will drop because you are bringing up the past and you're putting it into your current tense snapshot. So look at your credit report very carefully. If you are under 2,000, don't pay a dime. Don't pay a dime. If you are over 2,000, give us a call. We'll work with you and show you how we can manipulate that and pay it at the closing. That way your credit will drop, but you'll have your keys and you'll have your house, you'll have your mortgage, and everything will be great. That's the best way to do it. I like to think of it as letting sleeping dogs lie. Letting sleeping dogs lie. That's the best way to look at collections. All right. Last is type of credit. So you want to have a blend of credit if possible. You want to have a mortgage, which is the best thing to have on your credit. Some credit cards, installment loans. You want to show a blend of credit, and that will also help your credit score. So we're going to pause a second and see if we have any questions. Did we have any questions? I'm looking at the screen.
Nope.
All right. Thank you, Gloria. I'm glad the information was helpful. Thank you, Joy. And my partners at Pacific, it looks like you guys are enjoying the video. We're going to now break into a little trivia, a question and answer period. This is another way that we're going to thank you for joining us today. And by the way, I've been in business 20 plus years, and allow me to take a moment to thank all of you here in the community for helping keep my business afloat, for telling your friends and your family about what we're doing here at the Tri-County office. So thank you for everything. And the address is 130 Tri-County Parkway, right by Benihana's, Cincinnati, Ohio 45246. And of course, my phone number is 518-6318 right here in Cincinnati. Thank you, Mahogany. Glad you could join us. All right, so keep your thinking caps on. We're now going to break into the trivia section.
So, does anyone remember what the 3 C's are? Anyone? I know you guys were paying attention. Anyone? All right. Let's see. Oh, what does your credit score have to be to get a loan? No one? I guess you guys don't want these prizes. They're actually really cool. Okay. I know somebody was just paying attention. Where can you meet JB?
Oh, Joy.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Joy Daniel.
Joy beat you there, Barbara. All right. So Joy gets a prize. Nice. So where can you meet JB for a loan application? Anybody? Sonia. See that?
Mm-hmm. She had 620.
Yeah. All right. Good job, Sonia. And
So it looks like Joy gets a prize and
Yeah.
Sonia gets a prize.
Barbara. Good job. And then I don't know if you guys were paying attention. Does anybody know what JB's favorite animal is? I will give you a clue. He's wearing it. I don't know if anybody caught that. Good job, Mahogany. So, got a few people that are winning prizes. Good. Also, you know, JB's available, I will say most of the time. I won't say all the time. But, you know, if you have any questions or you want to talk to him directly about your particular situation, feel free to give him a call, shoot him a message on Messenger, or, you know, ask to meet with him in person at his office. So we really appreciate everyone's, you know, participation. And hopefully it helped you guys. And if you have any more questions, feel free to let JB know. And we'll get with you guys as far as prizes sometime soon.
Thanks again, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Give us a call if you have any questions. 513-518-6318.